I don't sing.
We may need to.
That's okay. I just want to know what I can do to help. So just to kick us off to, last time I was here and we have our 4 district goals back there. And last time we talked about goal number 4, which is climate and culture. And we talked about attendance and chronic absenteeism. Goal number 1 is on early literacy data. And just like that, it shows up on the screen. So thank you, Mark. And so tonight we're going to talk about goal number 1 and take a look at our early literacy data. So again, that is our focus area for looking at word recognition and language comprehension and supporting students at that early level. And we know the research is very clear that reading by the end of 3rd grade is a critical indicator for future success. And we know a lot of those skills at K3 are foundational, and it's important to have that strong foundation because as students go through the grades, the text structures are going to get more unique, the vocabulary is going to get more complex, and the content is going to be more difficult. So having that solid and strong foundation is absolutely critical to that success. So the state has what they call a literacy healthy indicator. And that really is helps us not only see who's meeting the benchmarks, but see how we can help the students who aren't there yet. What can we do to provide interventions and support so that we can get all students to that benchmark? And in based on the guidelines, we collect checkpoints. We collect data all year long, but for the state checkpoints, we check in the fall, the winter, and the spring. And so I'm here tonight to share the winter data with you. So in the fall at Southeast Polk, and this is K5 data, 65% of our students were on track to meet the benchmark, and that was a couple of percentage points higher than the state of Iowa. And winter, we have 67% of our students who are on track to meet the benchmark, and that is a percentage higher than the state of Iowa. Now, if we dig into that a little bit more, last year in the fall, our number was higher, but we dropped in the winter. Last year, 6 out of our 8 elementary buildings maintained and improved from fall to winter. And this year, 8 out of 8 buildings maintain and improve from fall to winter. So as you've been out in your board visits and as you've had Carrie Bernstein and Angie Shannon, our literacy coordinators, come and present, we have revamped and put into place a very solid structured literacy program in grades K3. And I believe we're starting to see some of the positive impacts of that. It takes a while to get that into place and to learn those things, but we're now seeing the benefits of that for students as we move forward. So now digging in a little bit more, because this state guideline specifically looks at K3. So you can see there, this is our growth from fall to winter for kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. Now, one thing that we have talked about is that there is an expectation that the raw score will increase. So the norm for winter is higher than the norm for fall, and the norm for spring is higher than the norm for winter. So this isn't looking at the raw score. Excuse me. This is looking at the expected growth that you would expect to see developmentally. So they have not only increased the raw score, but they have also increased along the developmental needs as well. So looking at that in comparison to last year, you can see last year we always have good kindergarten growth because there's a good span between the fall and the winter and a large amount of change. So last year we grew 12 percentage points. This year we grew 20. Last year, grade 1, we stayed the same. This year we grew 9. Grade 2, 0. This year we grew 4. We lost some ground at grade 3 last year, and this year we maintained where we were. So we still have work to do. But I think the data is indicating that we're getting the right things and structures in place. And we will continue to use our data to support each and every student to get them to that success benchmark.
Dr. Latham,
Yes.
is there a reason why grade 3 struggles?
I think at that point in time, we start to bring in more advanced skills. So we start to bring in prefixes and suffixes, doubling the consonant before you add ing and ed. So it gets a little bit more complex. You start to do that shift from the phonemic awareness and phonics to more of that word study and vocabulary.
Does that vary from year to year, or will there be a chance that maybe when these first graders or kindergartners get to third grade, they could do better, or it's just the system's just not?
I think we've seen that trend before, and that is why we put the structured literacy in place. So I would predict that as we get stronger at that, we're going to see that number go up.
Good.
Yep. So again, the healthy indicator isn't just to see who got there and who didn't. It really is to see how we can use our resources and our teachers and how we can group students in order to meet the needs of all students. So much like the chronic absenteeism task force. Whoops. We have an early literacy task force. And again, these are instructional coaches and model teachers at the elementary who have been meeting throughout the year, led by Carrie Bernstein, who is our elementary literacy coordinator, and Jackie White, who is our preschool coordinator. And they are meeting regularly to look at the data. They really dig in, look at the practices that are the most effective, looking across the way, who made the most growth? What strategies were we using? How can we replicate those strategies? How can we share resources and regroup students to make sure everyone is meeting their needs? So they meet very frequently, they engage in this work, and I credit their leadership too as something that's moving this initiative forward and moving it in the right direction. And that is our early literacy update for the evening. I know, Rick, you had a good question. Are there any other questions we can answer?
I would just say it's a great task force, so it's no wonder
Yeah.
we have great teachers from
Yep.
K3, so that's impressive. But
Yep. Look at that list and they're
why we
awesome.
why we strive, why we really do really well in reading, which is great. And I know probably across the nation it's the same thing, but I always struggle as a former teacher. What are we doing about writing?
Mhm.
I know that's we're here. This is all about reading, which is fantastic.
Mhm.
I mean, as a nation, are we just not teaching writing anymore? Are we?
Yeah, Yeah.
Penmanship.
Yeah. Yes, we, you know, as we've always kept the cursive writing piece in our curriculum. And I think that you bring up a good point because we are currently studying literacy materials for grades 3 through 5. Because we've done the K2 structured literacy and now we're looking at 3 through 5. And as we talk to teachers as to what they want to see really strong in these materials, they said writing. They want to be able to really emphasize that and strengthen the teaching of writing. So I think that is something that we've been working on and that I can see us really ramping that up, much like we have the structured literacy.
Good.
So when you say writing, are you talking about composition or composition and penmanship or?
Yes.
What?
Both. Yeah. Yeah. So the formation, so we wrap those around the teaching structures. So in grades K through 2, while we're teaching letter identification and what sound a letter makes, then at the same time, we're teaching the letter formation and how to write that. And then when we get into the cursive writing, we're talking about the flow of ideas and how we put those ideas together. So we do some direct instruction on how to form that, but we immediately put that into an authentic experience so that they're writing for a purpose. So yes, we address both of those.
No, this might be a little odd, but are they practicing writing on tablets or on their computers, or are they actually using pen, pencil, and paper?
Pen, pencil, and paper. Yeah. Yes.
And I really appreciate you all leaving cursive as part of the curriculum. I thought I was going to have to teach my fourth grader myself.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I really appreciate that because I'm not a good teacher. So.
Well, you know, there's still a lot of research out there that suggests that there's a strong correlation in being able to write cursively and connect and flow of ideas as well. So I know for my own purposes, if I'm typing notes, I'm not as thoughtful as when and Dr. Lepnick has seen my
Yeah.
papers sometimes when I'm written all over the sides and the margins. I just feel like students can be more creative. So we want to make sure they can do both, that they can word process and write.
Yeah, well, no, you're correct. Research does show you.
Yeah.
Albeit you're more likely to commit it to memory.
Yes.
But you know, I know at Delaware in particular, you know, because my kid goes there, that Mrs. Woodley, they've been working a lot on the reading comprehension, which I really appreciate. You know, because you know, it seems like you know, before, you know, he's reading and he can read the words and everything, but you go back and ask, what does that passage mean? So I know, you know, I've watched Mrs. Woodley work with them, and they really do push that comprehension piece as well. So that's gonna be great, especially with starting this young.
Yeah, exactly. And that foundation is important, but the purpose of that foundation is so they can create meaning with what they read. So very important piece. Agreed.
How many schools do we have? Make sure it's right, that are title
Six.
for the
Six.
6,
Next year it will be 5.
and that's because just the funding or? just because the
Funding
schools are
and
getting-
criteria. Yeah. Mhm.
So does, and that, not to put words in Rick's mouth, but is that some of the reasons why some of the scores might be lower is because some of those are still tagged as the title schools and
Well,
they're, or
and some of our title schools are performing up towards the top. The idea of title is that the challenges might be greater, so they have additional staff to help with that. So they will have additional reading and math staff to help them meet those particular goals.
Which could explain why the scores are so much higher there, because they have
Right.
more
Mhm.
attention.
Exactly. Yeah. I'd have to go back and look individually, but I know that we have both title and non-title schools in the top half of performers. So.
I appreciated Rick's question about the third grade. I was wondering the same. Is any of that still linked to like COVID? Because those students came in
Yeah.
during that time as
Yeah.
kindergartners.
A little bit. We think it is. We don't have any hard evidence of that. But I will say 2 years ago, our problem area was second grade. So then we shored that up and now, you know, we can see a little bit of a dip in third grade, but not as much as it used to be. So I think there's a little bit of the moving through
Yep.
those years in the bubble and a little bit about strengthening at the system level to make sure that we're hitting all of those needs. So yes, we have noticed that.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say we came out to visit at Runnels. We got to see, I think it was second grade, some of the U Fly.
Yeah.
And we've seen examples of that before, but it was just so well done.
Yeah. Mhm.
And the pace was like Rick and I were trying to keep up
Yeah.
with some of
Trying.
We're
Yeah.
trying, yeah.
It's Daniel syndrome.
But they packed so much and the kids were like fully engaged in it. Which I would imagine without that pace and rigor, you'd have attention wandering around,
Right.
but they were all just like completely in on what was happening and they were making the check sound
Yep.
and all that when as they got things done.
Sure. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, you know, as we're learning it, the teachers are becoming more familiar with it and can keep that pace going. And the students are becoming familiar with the routine. So I think one of the reasons we're seeing that increase in data is because we're getting better at implementing that structured literacy, the UFly.
And I think thank you, Chad, for mentioning that, but as we do these school visits, I'm blown away in a positive way. Not only with their teaching, which is tremendous, but our technology, and they all have clever touch boards that are just, and they're all they're mic'd up and everybody can hear.
Isn't it amazing?
I mean, I never thought I'd see stuff like this. And
Great.
this seems to be in all of our schools, which
Yeah.
is a credit to our district. It's just,
And they're so fluid with, you know, even like with the, it's just so fluid how the teachers and students are both responding. I agree, Rick. I'll sit there and just, I'm amazed by it all.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
money well spent.
And we appreciate the board's support, getting involved, watching the lessons, working with children and students at home. And we do know the importance of early literacy, and we're all working together to see that. So we appreciate that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Final item D is the construction update.
Good evening, board.
Good evening, Gary.
While we're waiting to bring up our pictures from the construction site on our new district office, we'll sit and visit a little bit. Say hello to each other. It's good to see the board members tonight. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Construction's gone on very, very well at the, I keep calling it the new district office because I don't know the exact name of it, but it fits. I'm amazed at the type and caliber of the general contractor, the architects, and the subcontractors on this project. I went in there Tuesday. Everything was fantastic. They're putting ceiling grids up. They're sanding drywall. They're painting. It's coming together really quick. And then I go in the next day, and what didn't have ceiling grids in place, all the offices now do have. You can get a really good visual on what the boardroom is actually going to look like. And it's going to be not only very attractive, it's going to be very acoustical. There won't be a bad seat in the place.
For all the people that come.
Yeah, both of them.
Build it, they will.
Yeah, that's right. It will.
Well, Gary, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but we've seen the pictures and hopefully we'll see it there, but is it all this construction, is it not bothering the technology department, the print shop, all the things that are going on in other parts of the building?
They have relocated to the high school.
Oh, they have?
Yes.
Geez, where have I been?
It's a tight fit, but they're all getting along really well. Smaller environment, so they're bonding.
Good. Didn't realize that.
Team building.
Didn't know the high school had room for all that.
Maybe they don't, but it's a temporary fix. But when they come back, I mean, I can't begin to explain, or actually I could tell you, but it's hard to visualize how fast this project's going. I've been blessed to have the contractors that are all involved.
Yeah.
An example, this is the front of the building. This is the new entrance to the building. We've got the east entrance and this one where we took down the skylights that were up there that were kind of nasty, outdated things. When we were complaining about the coldest days we had with sub-zero weathers, these contractors were up there on lifts completing these. They look like little doughboys up there, Pillsbury things. But they got it done. Now it's ready to go up with the wall coverings, put the windows in,
Wow.
and can start completing that and do a lot of the masonry work when time or the weather allows. So that changes the whole appearance of the outside of the building. Power washing will do wonders also. We'll get that taken care of. It'll give it a new look, and it's just amazing. It's hard to visualize what it looked like before and what you see now.
Right.
So we'll show some other pictures if we go. This is the inside. The lower picture is the greeting center for people that come into the building. Top left picture is in the entry hallway that goes to the board meeting. So those openings that you see with the curved arches are the openings into your new boardroom. Any questions on those pictures? It shows the bottom picture also shows the headers that are going up. That'll be drywalled. In fact, they are drywalled now. And then the ductwork that's been installed. Those are all getting finished areas. Another area that shows the wires hanging down where they're getting ready to hang the ceiling in the lower photograph, the walls that are completed. And then the hallway over by the district office that goes to the south with the offices on both sides. Shows the guys that they're sanding the walls. It's the most pristine looking walls that I've seen on a construction site. Normally you can see, if you look at the angle, you can see each seam. This, I've not seen a seam once they're completed. It's just a really quality workmanship on everything. This shows an office on the west side. Shows their offices are all painted. They're adding the color textures to it up above on the headers. That'll be the front of one office. It'll be glass. And then the lower right shows that whole row where you have different offices and the ambient lighting from the exterior windows in the open space work areas that if needed, they're there. Another hallway that's not been painted, but it's ready to go now. It's an entry to the other side of the building to the office areas. And then we go down the other side and you can see the orange stripe up above. Tuesday afternoon, that's what I saw. Wednesday morning, I went in and that whole top area is all completely painted orange and the drywall on the walls and the offices are done also. Down below, it shows the other header that comes down. That'll be drywalled. It's going to have a lot of character, this building. They really went out between the design of Dr. Lepnick and his team and RDG and everybody that put this together. They did wonders. More offices, and this is the one that's mattered. And I don't know, this is on the completely opposite side of the building from what's being painted. This is Dr. Lepnick's office. I don't know why it got painted all of a sudden, but so that's looking into the office on the lower left. On the upper right is looking from inside the office out into the commons area. And it's all painted and they're starting suspension of the ceilings and completion of some minor duct work in that area right now as we speak. So that part's coming together fast. Ceilings, all the duct work, the sprinkler systems are moving forward really rapidly. Talking completions on those areas, and then the areas that are completed, we're looking at starting flooring. There's changes in the tech office areas and workroom areas that'll be really functionable for the future for them and make it easier for them. They'll have a lot more storage area, which they drastically need, instead of finding places throughout the district to store things. That all one location is a big key in this building for all departments. So it's going to be great. Another picture of the commons area looking up at that header that has a circle. It's got a lot of lines in this building that I can't wait for it to be completed, and you walk in there and you'll be at awe of what you see. And that's the last photo that I have. Are there any questions? It's hard to show everything with photos.
What's the schedule like between now and completion? Like,
There's one thing that they've delayed it a couple weeks, and that pertains to the furnishings only. So that's kind of not that important. I think it's not going to cause any delays for our part, I think. And what I've seen throughout this project is we find this, and this that causes a delay for them and puts them back a week or two. but then they find other ways that this speeds this up. So it's a wash balance and they've stayed on track throughout the whole project. We're looking at middle of May, say approximately substantial completion. And starting our move in or be moved in, I think we can move in gradually as we follow their work for completion on June 17th would be a complete move in. And I see no reason that would be delayed. I think those are pretty firm projects. On our spreadsheets that show our timeframes of different departments, it's very well run project. They're pretty spot on their scheduling.
What we got, almost, if you really look at it, a good month and a half before you give you time to move stuff in 2 months, worst case scenario, but
Yeah, there'll be a lot of work at the end. Probably be the toughest part of this project. But I've been pleased and excited about being a part of it. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on anything at all?
Looks
Oh,
great.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Scary.
All right.
Oh, I do have one other thing now. If I could ask these two people back here, Ian and Tyler, to come up here. Kim Templeton, she's my administrative assistant that Marty Belcher helped put in place, and it's been a fantastic addition to our department. Tyler Fars, he's the leading maintenance person and involved in the construction and a lot of what goes on throughout the district. They've been working with me hand in hand since they've been there. Moving up the ladder, they're very knowledgeable. The two of them together have worked together, communicated with the administrators and teaching and principals throughout the district. Brought it to a whole level that our Southeast Polk has never seen before. I've never seen since I've been here, but it's worked out great. It's been a big relief. And it's a lot of Southeast Polk in general to be proud of what we've done and help build our departments and help support our school districts. So Kim's been administrative assistant. She's been taking care of the custodial side of it, administration side as far as interviewing, hiring, some disciplinary things when needed. Payroll, all the different departments that I used to do. Now she's taken over my duties. So she's doing a level of director's duties at her job performance. And it's been a really positive win for everyone around her, not just me. Tyler Farr has been taking care of the maintenance side of it and anything else that comes up. He's had his hands full, did the swimming pool project. When I was gone after my surgery and I was laid up for a couple months, these two people were in the district without fail and took care of business like I probably couldn't have done. Well, I know I couldn't have done it myself. So I have a lot of respect and gratitude for both of them. And I think after I leave here, that everybody will be pleased at how the district's involved in it. They're very good at being involved with everyone they're around.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
bringing it.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Motion.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay,